Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com. Today we're taking a closer look at and installing the Raxiom smoked taillights and sequential harness combo kit available for the 05 to 09 Mustang. As you can see, we've got our 06 GT here with our hazard lights in action, and you can see that sequential harness in play. Now, this convenient combo kit's great for the guys out there who want to pick up a stealthier appearance at the rear end with the taillights, but also wants a modern styling with the flashing. Now, this sequential harness works in sequence from inside out, so 1, 2, 3, with your hazards, turn signals, brake lights, and headlights. So of course, when you hit the brake, it'll sequence once and stay on for the duration of you holding that in. When you turn your turn signals on, it'll blink just like this, and hazards as well. Now that harness and taillight combo kit's coming in right around 280 bucks. It's a convenient combo kit for the guys who want to pick both of these things up but don't want to spend a little bit of extra money getting them separately. Get them all in one kit all at once and knock it out in one sweep. 280 bucks I think is an extremely affordable way to get this. Taillights themselves typically cost around 200 bucks, so just for a little bit extra, you get a huge change. Now the install is going to get 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Anybody can tackle it with very simple hand tools in the driveway at home. Plug and play is the key word here. That sequential harness is just going to swap out the factory one. You're going to use your factory bulbs in that new harness, and it's going to plug right in to the stock section of the harness in the trunk. I'm going to show you guys every step of the process. Let's get started. Tools used in the install include a panel removal tool, 1/4 inch ratchet, 11mm deep socket, flathead screwdriver, and needle nose pliers. Now guys, the first step of the uninstall is to of course pop your trunk, and now we have to remove a couple of things in order to gain access to the bolts on the back side of your taillights. First thing we're going to remove is this black plastic trim right down here by your trunk latch. Now there's a wing nut clip right on the left side, plastic, same thing on the other end. You're going to unscrew that and pop them apart, and then we'll be able to pop the entire trim panel off in one piece. So we're going to start here on our driver's side, just working that wing nut off. All right, now for this wing nut, you're just loosening this up. Once it gets loose enough, you can pull that straight out, and I like to set it down in the trunk. As you can see, this is loose and coming off here. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Now, ours does have something a little bit different, so we're going to pull straight back, unclip it, and set it aside. That's more of a Christmas tree clip. For the rest of the plastic clips, I'm going to use a panel removal tool. We're going to pry our way in here and pull these out. Now, if you don't have a panel removal tool, a flathead screwdriver is going to work just as well. You're going to pull up that center portion of the plastic clip and pop the whole thing out. Now, there's a couple of them on this trim, 2 up here at the top by the latch, and we have 1 more down at the bottom. Pop that out. You just want to make sure you're trying not to scratch any paint or anything like that. Once you pop that middle portion out, just pull back. All right, once you pop that black trim out, you can remove it from your trunk and set it aside. We have to pull aside this trunk liner here. I'm going to use a panel tool to pop off this one plastic clip. Basically just going to head up under it and pry off. Next up, grab an 11mm socket, and you're going to remove the 3 nuts holding on your driver's side taillight. There's 3 of them right there, and then we're going to disconnect the harness. Once you break them loose, you should be able to do it by hand. And when you get those nuts off, just put them in your trunk to hold on for safekeeping. You'll reuse them later. Now, head over to the harness. Now for the harness, you're just going to pinch and disconnect. Now that you have this unplugged, you can pull your taillight straight out from the back. You may need to push on those studs a little bit to get it to break loose. Once the taillight's out of position, you do have to remove this wiring harness here, and it has a grommet going through. So what you're going to need to do is push on it from the inside to get it out of that hole. Feed that harness through and set your factory one aside. And once you have one taillight out of place, just repeat for the other side. It's the same thing. So we got our factory taillight off of our 06 GT. It's on the table next to our new Raxiom smoked option with the sequential turn signal harness. Now, I want to take you guys through some of the similarities, but mainly the big differences between the 2 kits, and there really are only 2. Now, as far as the quality of housing, it's all the exact same. Your Raxiom kit uses the same OEM quality, factory forward CAD data to make sure it's a perfect and exact fit with the new aftermarket lights, and you can even see how closely they resemble each other from the back. The back side has this textured housing, the same thing here. Housing exactly the same with one exception, the smoked lens. Now your factory lens here is a clear red lens, very traditional, very factory, kind of boring. The new one, smoked using the same polycarbonate lens. So it's impact resistant, scratch resistant, all of that good stuff. This is gonna be a really good option for the guys looking for that stealth. I don't want to deter people from smoked lenses because it's not going to hinder the light output too much. Now, of course, it won't be as bright as something with a clear lens, but it's still DOT compliant and it's still very visible on road, which I really like. Now, the other thing that is completely different in the kit is that sequential harness. Now, the sequential harness, as you know, is going to blink from the inside going outward in a sequencing fashion. Now, because of that, the harness has to be installed in a very specific way. That harness here is numbered. Each light bulb has a 1, a 2, or a 3. The final one, of course, is just your reverse light. We are going to have to transfer over those factory bulbs to the new harness here. Other than that, the stock one and the Raxiom one are pretty much the same. It's the lens and the sequential harness. Now, the harness itself is actually the exact same layout as the factory one, and I'll show you guys that in just a minute. What we're going to do now is flip the factory one around, and then we're going to have to pop out all of those bulbs and transfer them over to the new harness. Now, when we take that out, you'll see the harness is laid out the same way as well. So step number 1, twist and pull out all of the bulbs in their housing. All right, so from here, twist, pull that out. Twist and out, twist, and then finally the reverse light. Good little click, and that comes out. So as you can see, the harness does look similar. It's just our new harness has a little bit more wiring going on to make sure that sequence acts properly. Now, what you will have to do, because the kit does not come with new bulbs, is pull out your factory ones. Now, this is a good time if you guys want to upgrade. There are Raxiom bulbs in the category that are brighter, more attractive, but for right now, we are going to reuse our factory ones. So what you're going to do is start first at your reverse light, because it's the most obvious. That one is the small housing there. So you're going to pop that bulb out, switch it over here. All you have to do is gently and carefully pinch and pull that bulb, pick up your new housing, click it in. Snaps right into place. Next, these bulbs, doesn't matter which one you put them in, you just want to make sure that they're snapping in fully. You're going to pinch your tail light out, that bulb, we're just going to swap over. They'll all fit in, you just want to put a little bit more pressure on, it's a little tighter, but they'll snap in place. Pinch and pull, head over here. Snap. Sometimes you might have to wiggle it back and forth to get it to click. Finally, pinch and pull. Last one. Perfect. Now we can install the harness into our taillight. Now what I like to do is to start with that reverse light, because it's, again, just the most obvious. It's going to go down here. Insert it into the housing, and then twist to lock it in place. Now next, this is where you want to get technical. You want to make sure you're putting the number 1 bulb in the housing slot that's closest to your trunk latch. You want it to be closest to the center of the vehicle because it's going to blink in that sequence. If you put the 2 bulb here and the 1 bulb here and the 3, it's going to blink out of sequence. You don't want that. So you want to make sure you're installing it properly. Find the number 1. Here we go. And again, that's going to go on the inside. So that's here. So you just want to rotate it. It's like a puzzle. You want to find how it fits in there properly. And give it a twist. Now we're going to grab the number 2 and put it in the middle. And finally, the number 3 is going to go on the end. And then the harness will be plug and play. Now what you're going to do is we're going to install this and of course just repeat for the other side. All right, so first step, grab the harness with the plug and play adapter. That's going to go right into the hole, and of course we do need to plug that new grommet in place. So we're going to feed that in and pull it in from the inside. All right, now you can grab the harness from the inside and pull that grommet through. You want to make sure that the grommet is kind of snapping into place. So you want to pull it through so that it's real tight so that you can't just simply push it out. Okay, that's not what you want to do. You want to make sure you can't do that. You want to pull that grommet through so that it kind of clicks in place without tugging the wires too much. You can also push it from the outside to get it to seat all the way in there. You'll see the little lip come through. All right, and that's how you know it's real tight. From there, you can seat your housing into place by lining up the studs into those factory holes. You'll see it come through. Perfect. Grab the factory 11mm nuts and thread them onto those studs. Grab your 11mm socket and just tighten these down. The last step here is grab your harness and just plug it in. All right, now you can repeat for the other side. That's gonna wrap up my review and install for the Raxiom smoked tail lights with the sequential harness combo kit for the 05 to 09 Mustang. If you wanna get this combo kit, you can do so right here at AmericanMuscle.com.